Which Week 16 NFL games should you bet? What's going on, football fans and gridiron gamblers? It's Mitch here with my 5 favorite picks versus the spread for Week 16 of the 2024 NFL season. This is the show where I give you my favorite picks versus the spread every week of the NFL season. So if that sounds good, grunt, spike the like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more NFL picks and NFL content just like this. And let me know in the comments. I love hearing from you guys every single time, man. I read your comment. I like to read your analysis. I love to hear who you are betting every week of the NFL season. So let me know where you agree with me, where you disagree, and who you are betting for Week 16. Let's get to it, guys. Last week, we were 3-3. Only 5 picks this week. So we're going to be above 500 or we're going to be below. So let's get to it. Let's kick it off with our first pick, my favorite pick of Week 16. That is Sunday Night Football. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, -4 at the Dallas Cowboys. I like the Bucs and Baker. I was totally wrong about this team last week. Now, I did not make the Chargers a best bet. Thankfully, I did not fade Baker in that way. But I thought the Chargers would win. But now I have completely opened my eyes. I've been saying Baker has been one of the best quarterbacks all season. I've been saying that Liam Cohen is a top 3 to 5 play caller in football. We know that Mike Evans is chasing the 1,000-yard record once again, so he's like overpowered. He's like superhuman at this point in the season, which just so correlates every year with the fantasy playoffs. He's just a gift to fantasy players every single year, Mike Evans. We know how good and underrated their O-line is. We know how good the run game is. But the defense is what has me excited about this dark horse potential of Tampa Bay. And I think they're levels above Dallas. I think that Tampa is much better than people think. I think they're much better than the market thinks. I think that Baker is better than people think. This is why the Bucs have been one of the most frequent bets for me all year and one of my most frequent winners because Baker has been underrated all season. This Bucs offense has been underrated all season. They're great as an underdog and they're easy to rely on as a favorite because they score points. When you look at this Dallas defense, they've been very, very, very suspect against the run all year. Bucky Irving has been phenomenal. Rashad White is good. They ran all over the Chargers, shockingly last week. They shocked the Chargers, right? And I think they will be able to dictate that area of the game on both sides. And that's why I like the Bucs here. I think they'll be able to run the ball on early downs. I think they'll stay out of 2nd and 3rd and long against Micah Parsons and Zimmer's blitz packages, which is so crucial to moving the ball against Dallas. You need to be able to be efficient on early downs. And Cohen is brilliant at his screen game, at his quick passing game, at his play action, and at his run game. He's so good at setting up Baker for success and this offense for long, deliberate drives, especially early in games where it allows them to gain a lead and play the way they want to play. On the other side, Tampa has been trending in a great way defensively against the run, especially since Vita Vea has been back. He's able to really control the middle of that line of scrimmage. And we've seen Todd Bowles' defense really get back to fundamentals of what they do well over the years. That stopping the run is so crucial. Levante David, Vita Vea, the core of that run defense. And Dallas has not been a great running team this year overall. They've been good lately. I think part of that is because of the opponents that they've played. But now they're playing a much more stout, big, aggressive, and nasty front on defense that I just don't think they're going to be able to push around like that, which is going to put Cooper Rush into very tough situations against Todd because Bowles is very good at screaming blitzes from the left to the right, from dropping D tackles, D ends, linebackers. You don't know what's coming on a regular basis. And I feel like that will definitely confuse and frustrate Cooper Rush, a guy that's been constantly throwing the ball into coverage pretty frequently in his last few games. So he's definitely susceptible to a turnover or two, which could set up the Bucs for even more possessions. So I think the Bucs start this game off hot. It's in a dome. It's going to be great for Baker, Evans, McMillan, Irving to move the football. They're going to be able to stop the run, which is going to allow them to get pressure on Rush. And it's going to force the weakness of the Cowboys, Cooper Rush, to have to beat them. Okay, so that's why I really like the Bucs. I think they dictate the game through the running game, and that allows Baker to outshine Cooper Rush. Pretty simple. I think they win by at least a touchdown in Dallas. This number just feels totally wrong. The Bucs are a playoff dark horse. Dallas is a team without their quarterback. Our second best bet is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles -3.5 at the Commanders. I would prefer this game at 3, obviously, for obvious reasons, because 3.5, there's a lot more of a backdoor opportunity, but I love the matchup for the Eagles, and I just truly feel like this is a terrible matchup for the Commanders. We bet the Eagles the first time around against the Commanders. We were correct. It was a Thursday night, if I'm not mistaken, at home, and the Eagles should have blown the doors off the Commanders. They kind of did dominate that game. They missed 2 field goals, though, and still dominated the game and covered the game, right? So the Eagles were truly the better team. Now you're looking at an Eagles team that we know has the best defense in football right now. What I like about this defense in terms of the matchup against Jaden Daniels, the edges, right? The edges, Sweat and Nolan Smith, are very fast, quick, and aggressive, and they will not be outran to the sidelines by Jaden Daniels. That's crucial. Jalen Carter can dictate the middle of the line of scrimmage, and I don't think the Commanders will be able to run over the Eagles. And we've been talking about all year, kind of like the Cardinals, the Commanders need to run the ball to have successful offense because their offense is so much correlated to running and quick passing. Bond and Nakobe Dean have been great at sniffing out these quick screens and quick throws all year, and Quinyon Mitchell can shut down Terry McLaurin with his quickness and his speed to run vertical with McLaurin. He did it in the first game. You've got Slay in there as well, the safeties that are playing great. So the Eagles defense is just really well set up. Actually, in the last game, Austin Eckler was a pretty good contributing factor to this offense, and he's not even playing in this game. Zach Ertz has a concussion. He played really well against the Eagles in the first game. I don't think he'll be playing in the second game. So those are a couple things. And then Noah Brown is out. So the Commanders are also a little bit hindered by injury as well on that side of the ball. On the other side of the ball, the Commanders are the worst run defense in terms of yards per carry allowed before contact, and the Eagles are the best run defense in football in yards per carry before contact. Saquon is obviously the NFL's leading rusher. This is one of, if not the best rushing attack in football. It's just going to completely pound the Commanders into submission. I see their ability to get into third and shorts, their ability to avoid third down altogether, their ability to create one-on-one matchups on the outside because Dan Quinn's worried about the run game. And when that starts to happen, you've got Devontae Smith, who should absolutely toast whoever's guarding him. A.J. Brown might have a tougher time with Marshawn Lattimore, but I think there'll be enough success from Saquon, enough success from Devontae Smith, and enough success from the tush push and Jalen Hurts running that I feel like they're going to be able to move the ball pretty much all day long. The Commanders are well schooled defensively, but they just physically do not match up well with this Eagles offense, and they will wear down as the game goes on, okay? So I like the Eagles -3.5. They will finish strong in the fourth. The third best bet for week 16. I keep smacking my mic. The 49ers, I'm just so excited. +1, maybe 1.5. At the Miami Dolphins, I would take it on the money line, I think for obvious reasons. They're in Miami. Shout out to Becca, who will be at the game. I like the 49ers here. I like the matchup for the 49ers, and I think they have a little bit of a bounce back performance. You know, despite them maybe losing their ability to make a late season push at the playoffs, I think that the 49ers will come out with a strong performance and a strong effort I think that a lot has been made of this Devondre Campbell quitting on the team, and I think that's actually going to allow this team to grow together and come together for a big game against the Dolphins. Obviously, you have the Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel relationship. I think that's also going to motivate the players, and I think that's going to motivate Kyle to be on his best behavior as a coach. I also just love how Kyle will match up with McDaniel because he pretty much knows this offense. And to me, the Dolphins are a team you kind of have to recognize and understand what they're doing offensively, because most of their offense is because it's tricky and it's hard to figure out. But a guy like Kyle will understand this and be able to give this to his defense. And you look at how his defense matches up with the Dolphins, and this is where you have to start with the Dolphin handicap. The offensive line of the Dolphins is a bit beat up. This has really forced Mike McDaniel to be very conservative in the passing game. They throw a lot of swing passes, a lot of screens, a lot of quick throws, a lot of play action and quick posts over the middle to Tyreek or Jalen Waddle. Waddle likely out of this game, huge factor. You only really have to worry about Tyreek on the outside because Malik Washington is their third receiver. He's more of a slot or a gadget guy, so they don't really have two traditional good NFL receivers anymore. Jonnu Smith is also a guy that doesn't really separate. He's more of a gadget screen player or a quick throw asset. So he's really around the line of scrimmage or underneath a lot of the time. The Niners are the second best team in football at limiting tight ends because of Fred Warner's presence. And overall, the quick passing game struggles against the Niners when they have their players in like Mustafa, like Hufanga, like Greenlaw, like Warner because of their speed and their pursuit to the football. And that's really not going to allow Miami to be able to create a lot of yards after catch, in my opinion. Their corners are also excellent, so I'm not really that worried about Tyreek Hill. Ward, Green, and Lenore are all good players. I'm not really that worried. And they've got Mustafa and Hufanga, who are missiles at safety that can take away any throws to Achane or Jonnu Smith out of the backfield or underneath. I think Tua's going to struggle on 3rd and long against this pass rush that's really been great lately. And you look at how the Niners have played, against these McVay, Shanahan type offenses as of late. You look at the Rams game. You look at how they played against the Bucs, a very impressive offense that they really, really shut down. So I think that this Niners defense has been trending really well. They're actually the best team at limiting passing yards in the NFL this year. They're like under 200 yards per game. The Dolphins can't really run the ball that well, which is also a huge factor. So I just think everything defensively for the Niners screams that they're going to play a lot better against Tua than people think. And then on the other side of things, this is a pretty good matchup for Brock Purdy because the Dolphins play a lot of zone. And because the Dolphins play a lot of zone, that allows Purdy to be able to work the offense of Kyle, and Kyle sets him up with guys that are open. And Purdy is not having to make a lot of throws with arm strength. He makes throws with touch and timing. And that's going to allow guys like Debo, who can't get open against man, to make plays. Obviously, he's going to have Juwan Jennings on 3rd down. Kittle's been a monster. I expect Garendo to go on the running back front. And you've got, all the others that can contribute there, like Ricky Pearsall. But I think just Purdy playing against zone. You even just look at, the Rams played a heavy man coverage game that was unexpected. You look at the game previous against Chicago, a zone-heavy team, a good pass defense traditionally. He ripped it up for 3 touchdowns, nearly 300 yards. So I think Purdy will actually have a pretty good bounce-back game. And Miami's pass rush is solid, but it's not overwhelming. This game also won't have elements, so Purdy should be able to play well. He's terrible in the rain, as we saw against the Rams. So 10 days to prepare, good defensive matchup, good schematic offensive matchup. I think San Francisco wins this game against Miami. I think they are the better team here. Our 4th best bet is going to be the Green Bay Packers laying a massive 14.5 number at home versus the New Orleans Saints. Now, obviously, I'd love to have a 13.5 or 14 as it was earlier in the week, and I think we might still get a 14, but I'm going to lay the number. And the reason is I think this is a terrible spot for the Saints. The Saints are a dome football team with an extremely inexperienced quarterback who's not used to playing in elements. The Packers game will be cold. It could be windy. It might snow. And that being said, this game's going to be in prime time in Green Bay, which does not allow them to take the foot off the gas. The Packers are excellent at running the football. They will run the ball every single play if you allow them to. And the Saints are one of the worst teams against running backs and the run all season long. They're actually like one of the worst in terms of efficiency, especially. And I could see the Packers just running it at will with Josh Jacobs here. Love should also be able to just be the much more experienced and better quarterback in the elements as he typically has been throughout his young career. And I expect the Packers to have so many advantages just because of the potential weather environment that this should turn into a blowout for the Packers. The Packers have also been pretty good as of late in terms of their pass rush. They had 7 sacks against Seattle. They might get a couple returning players to their defense as well. And I just like the Packers. They're a good football team. They can put up points in a hurry and bunches. And the Saints feel like they're going to fall back down to earth after their recent performances, especially with their backup quarterbacks in play here. So Saints, dome team, they've played well in their dome, but not outdoors. I expect Green Bay to win this game and win this game comfortably. So that's why I'm going to lay the big number with the Packers. And our 5th and final pick for week number 16. This was a late addition. The Houston Texans. And the reason it was a late addition is because I saw the half pop up. I saw the 3.5 pop up for the Texans. When I get 3.5 against this Chiefs team, I feel decent about betting this opposing side, especially with a team that is as good as the Texans, a defense that is as good as the Texans. I just feel like this is going to be a game where both teams are under 20 points. And when I get 3.5 in that type of environment, it's too good to pass up. Especially considering the Texans are a good team, and they have some good matchups against the Chiefs. Defensively, they match up exquisitely. Their pass rush is one of the best, if not the best, in the NFL, and the Chiefs have horrific tackle play. Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, in my opinion, is the best defensive end combination in football, and that's going to give Mahomes a ton of nightmares. On top of that, the Texans are excellent against the pass. They have a very, very good corner combination in Lassiter and Stingley. And I just don't see the Chiefs throwing the ball that efficiently because they're going to be under pressure a lot. And the only way the Chiefs will really be able to move the ball, in my opinion, is gimmicks, screams, and runs. And the Texans are also pretty good against the run. So this could be a big struggle for the Chiefs offensively. A very slow game. So on the other side, while I don't love the Texans offensively because their offensive line is really bad, the one thing they do have is they've got a lot of talent. Like CJ Stroud can make some big throws and he can make some nice plays on 3rd down to extend the drives. The Chiefs have been a little bit more susceptible to the pass as of late. And guys like Nico Collins and Tank Dell can certainly win one-on-ones on the outside. Nico could be a huge problem for the Chiefs. Dalton Schultz could also be a contributor here as the Chiefs are pretty bad against tight ends. And Joe Mixon has been awesome all year, and he's usually good against the Chiefs. I see him not being super efficient, but having a few big explosives in this game. So I think Stroud's ability to kind of extend and make some crazy throws, Nico Collins' ability to make big plays, and the Texans' defensive ability to rush the quarterback and make a banged up Mahomes uncomfortable is going to allow them to at least stay in the game within a field goal, if not win the game. The Texans have also been a team, kind of oddly enough, that a lot of people are down on, but if you actually look at the best teams they've played against, and you look at the marquee games the Texans have played, they've played some of their best football in those games. They led the Lions at half by multiple touchdowns when the Lions were a little bit healthier and the Texans were not healthy, right? And they did lose that game, and I think that was mostly because they didn't have Will Anderson or Nico Collins, right? I think if they had those guys, they would have won that game. They beat the Buffalo Bills at home, and both those games were at home, warranted, as well as they just beat Miami pretty comfortably off the bye week. So those are 3 big spots in their schedule. They're a little bit worse on the road overall as a team, but I think given that this game does function as a defensive game, I think the one thing that does travel well for them is their defense. So I think this could be a game that is decided by 1 or 2 or 3. So depending on, it doesn't even matter who wins. I'm going to take the 3.5. I would take it with either side. So Houston plus 3.5 is going to be the 5th and final play on Saturday. I'll also probably be on the under, and that's probably going to correlate. All right. So thank you guys for watching. It's the best bets of week 16. Gronk, spike the like button and subscribe. It's Mitch. Let me know your best bet of week 16 in the comment section below. We'll see you soon. Peace. Good luck, guys.